Okay, so this is it. This is the big day. This is where we get the summit of Mt Toubkal. It's an early start because of where Morocco lies, Northern Hemisphere. We start at 4 a.m. It's going to be dark when we start. So we'll get at about 3:30, grab a nice bite to eat, and then we'll start the trek and the climb to Mt Toubkal. Now, the actual distance today, or the actual ascent distance in meters, is just under 1,000 meters. So it's a good ascent, especially because you're at high altitude. So you'll start to feel it as you start. You'll start to slow down. Maybe you'll be breathing more. You'll be exerting yourself a bit more. It's definitely a toughie. But if you go in winter, from this point on, it's highly likely, depending on where the snow line is, because it does change. You'll be using your crampons and ice axe. Some people prefer to use poles because they're, maybe had some more experience on this type of terrain, but most people tend to use their ice axe. The guides will walk you through this the night before if you haven't done that. If you're in the summer and there's no snow, then great. You can imagine it as quite rocky path terrain. There's kind of like a shale path that kind of goes all the way up there and snakes its way through a U-shaped valley all the way up to the summit ridge. But yeah, this whole up and down takes us about sort of 6 hours, depending on the speed of the group. And we want to make sure that we stay as one unit because it's quite steep ground, and we want to make sure that everyone's safe. Because obviously if you're separated, it can get a little bit dangerous just because of the terrain. If you've been on an Everest Base Camp trip or a Kili trip, some groups can spread out, but this one we do like to make sure that we stick together. Okay. Now, after a few hours, we'll reach the Toubkal summit ridge. Now, this place is amazing. Just the views, absolutely out of this world. You'll get there, you might get a glimpse, if you look towards the south, of the Sahara Desert, which is, always pretty cool, especially because you might be freezing at this point and you're looking down at a desert. You'll also might get a glimpse of this little triangular thing in the distance you'll see. Now, that actually marks the summit of Mt Toubkal at 4,167 meters. And as you get closer, it starts to get bigger. And you'll know then, you kind of feel, okay, I'm getting closer and getting closer. So even though you're feeling tired, it'll give you that kind of extra kick to reach the summit. Once we're at the summit, we'll do the high fives, the hugs, even if you want a wee dram out your hip flask, we'll maybe spend about half hour, 45 minutes, because we've still got a long day today. We've still got to get back down to the refuge and back down to Imlil as well. So it's a beast of a day. I'd say, if you've done Kilimanjaro, it's probably like summit night, but I'd say definitely more physical than Everest Base Camp on a physicality level. Not really the altitude, but more just on how much it takes from your body. So yeah, we'll leave the summit. We'll head down. We got that 1,000-meter descent, and hopefully we'll get to the refuge to grab a bite to eat by sort of lunchtime. And then we'll make the 1,300 meters descent then back to Imlil. And then another hour and a half drive then all the way back to Marrakesh. We'll be staying in a riad called Riad Africa. Awesome, very, very cozy. Riad, you've got like a little roof terrace there where you can have a little drink. If you've got some time, if you want to go up to the souks in Marrakesh, highly recommend it. It's always a bit crazy, but it's all part of the journey and all part of the Moroccan experience. So make sure you do that. And yeah, before you celebrate with your group and your guide, and yeah, it's such an awesome feeling once you've tagged the summit of Mt Toubkal. And that's day 3 of the Toubkal Weekender.